Welcome to these few minutes that we have together. So whatever you are doing, whatever activity is in the home, in the office, in the spot where you are, just settle in, just pause, take a seat, be still for a minute. And we're going to just focus all of our attention first on our breath and then on this idea of perspective. So as maybe your eyes close, if that feels right or not, just begin to find a little rhythm of breath that feels good. Just a slow, steady in and out. Really noticing how the body shifts when your attention shifts to the breath. It's this beautiful, subtle little change. See if you can feel it right here. And then these few minutes of pause, just these very few minutes, I want us to focus on this idea of perspective on this Tuesday morning. I've watched the weather and the media and the social places that we all tend to go. And there's so much talk about everything going on in the weather in Texas and how with just a little bit of ice or snow or precipitation, the whole state just shuts down and is paralyzed. And I've watched people kind of giggle with a smile on their face and talk about how silly we are in Texas and how we don't really know what winter is. And so I thought this morning, what a beautiful idea of perspective that reminded me of. Because it's true, this is not weather that we are used to. I look up at my friends up in the Midwest, up in the North, and think, I don't know how they do it. How they do it for long, extended periods of time of cold, of snow, of weather, of darkness sometimes. And then I realized, not only is it about perspective, it's about the tools in our toolbox. How we navigate life is truly all about the tools that we are equipped with. And when we see folks with different tools, it begins to really kind of poke at our perspective. Because you always see the world through our eyes and we think everything is as we see it. But just as much as this silly small example of the weather reminds us, life is different for each of us. Our lived experience, the kind of tires on our cars, the kind of clothes that we have, the way that our homes are even built, and the tools that we have for navigating the challenges. It's all about perspective. And while yes, it is so fun and so okay to poke fun at all of us Texans as our world just stops because there's a little bit of snow, how do we navigate the really big stuff that we see? When we see people going through things in a different way than we would go through them, how does that shift how we see them? Do we look at eyes with judgment, or do we look with eyes of compassion and grace? It's really not about the weather. It's about how we see humans. Humans in our family, in our friend circles, in our workplace, just out in the general world and society and our communities. People are navigating things every single day. How do we see them? What's the perspective? What are the eyes that we look at them with? And I hope that as we continue to pause together, as we continue to show up for these few minutes and just really reset and come back to the present moment, we're saying that we want our perspective to be different. When we see human beings experiencing their path of life, we want to look with eyes of compassion and grace and understanding. We don't need to know the details of their life. We don't need to know what's in their toolbox. But we do need to live what's in ours. And so just as we just pause again for just a few more seconds here, notice how you feel when you stand still or when you sit in a really grounded way. Notice how you feel when the distractions become less because your eyes close for just a moment. Notice how you feel when you begin to focus on your breath. You have these tools in your toolbox, and they are how you navigate your world. And rather than looking upon other people with eyes of criticism or judgment, thinking that they're doing it wrong, what if we just lived this? What if our perspective was truly informed by this practice? We could still poke fun at the people in Texas who can't drive in the snow. But as we look at folks going through all these other things in life, we would look with eyes of grace, eyes of compassion, eyes that are informed by these few minutes that we pause each day. So just take a breath in here together. And as you exhale, just let it go and open up your eyes. And just think to yourself, how can perspective for me, not for the rest of the world, how can perspective for me begin to shift today?